Alright, welcome back to Dinopedia. Today our entry is the Brachiosaurus, and let's get into the video. Remember to like if you like, and subscribe down below if you really like the video. Alright, so the schedule as always is we're going to look at the Ark Survival Brachiosaurus. We're going to look at tips and tricks for this Brachiosaurus. Remember, this Brachiosaurus is not in the game yet. It will be soon, and the Brachiosaurus will be at basically the same, but in order to get the Brachiosaurus now in Ark Survival Evolved or Ascended, you do need a mod, the Additional Creatures mod, so just be aware, it is a modded creature until it gets released in Ark 2. We're also going to talk about potential add-ons to the creature for Ark Survival Ascended and reworking it for my game Dino World. Let's get into it. So of course it's in the Kingdom Animalia, because it's an animal, obviously. It's also a reptile because all dinosaurs are lizards, so it's in the group Reptilian. And description is a tall sauropod. So sauropods are the long-necked dinosaurs, Brontosaurus, Apatosaurus, Brachiosaurus. The reason why it's tall is because its neck extends vertically instead of horizontally, so that makes it a tall, long-necked sauropod instead of a horizontal, long sauropod. So it's tall rather than long. And of course, its traits, it's very docile and peaceful, will resort to combat if threatened by nearby carnivores. So the Brachiosaurus is very territorial when it comes to carnivores. It has intimidation status for most carnivores, but if they do come near it, it will push them away with its tail. The only carnivore it won't do this to is a Rex, because a Rex of course has intimidation, but most carnivores, Carnotauruses, Allosauruses, Spinosauruses, if they ever interact with each other, will push them away because it is threatened by carnivores, but herbivores and other player characters will not be affected by this intimidation. So of course the Brachiosaurus has a stat block. In Ark Survival Ascended it has a health of 3750, stamina 300, oxygen 150, 10,000 for food and water each, weight 3000, melee 125 for its stomp attack, we'll talk about that one later, and 110 for its tail whip attack. It has a walking speed of 3 meters per second, because Ark is on the metric system. It has a swimming speed of 1 meter per second, and has a torpor of 2500. So some tips and utilities for the Brachiosaurus. It of course has intimidation. Very few wild creatures will attack a Brachiosaurus. Mainly the only carnivore that even has a chance to attack a Brachiosaurus is a Rex, because they both have very similar intimidation buffs. Even a Giga will not attack a Brachiosaurus. So a Giga can literally walk next to a Brachiosaurus, will not attack it. The Brachiosaurus will probably attack first, and the Giga will probably not attack back. However, the Rex is one of the few wild creatures that will be able to circumvent this intimidation and attack the Brachiosaurus. It is also a siege weapon, does massive damage to structures, making it a key base raid mount, so you definitely want this on your team if you're ever base raging. It's similar to a Titanosaurus in the fact that it destroys basically everything. And of course harvesting. It can harvest all resources it come across with a huge carrying capacity. So use it to harvest trees, stone, rock, metal, anything it comes across, and it can carry pretty much anything. Of course, tricks, it has a Mega Stomp attack. If you've ever seen the Jurassic Park 1993 movie, you'll remember that the first thing it did was reach the top of the tree and slam back down to the ground, creating a shockwave. It has the same thing here with this Mega Stomp attack. Deals a huge amount of damage, base 125 damage, knocking all nearby entities back while intimidating all affected enemies. So it not only does damage, but it also knocks them back and increases its intimidation buff that it already has. It's also a resource tank. Due to its harvesting buff and high capacity, it's a great resource mobile storage unit. So you harvest resources, put them on the Brachiosaurus. It also has a platform saddle, so of course you can build a base on top of the Brachiosaurus if you want to. But yeah, you can use this thing as a huge mobile chest. It does move slowly, but you know, it is a Brachiosaurus. So what do you expect? So potential add-ons I can see is additional additions to the Mega Stomp attack. It adds qualities such as causing defensive debuffs, making it so it decreases affected enemy defenses, and also causes nearby structures to crumble in one hit, but with an extra 30-second cooldown. So basically the Mega Stomp will destroy an entire base, but it does have a 30-second cooldown, so you cannot just use this stomp willy-nilly. It also has a tail whip additional attack. It already has a tail whip attack, but I think it should have one where when using it against I think it should use this attack when it's critical on its health bar to bat away attacking creatures. So instead of running away, it just uses another attack instead of its Mega Stomp, and I think that'd be useful. So looking at the Ark Survival Evolved Brachiosaurus versus the Jurassic World Evolution 2 Brachiosaurus, the Ark Survival Evolved has somewhat of neck feathers, which is very unusual. But it has neck feathers, and it is, it's basically the same model, except, the eyes are different, the mouth is a little bit different, but they basically kind of look the same. The only thing that's different is the neck feathers, which I think are kind of cool. Comparing it to the Dino World model that we'll probably be using, it's basically just the Jurassic World 1, but it's a little bit taller and has a little bit bigger head. And we're not using the neck feathers because even though they look cool, it's kind of weird for a sauropod to have feathers on its neck. So, of course, in Dino World, there are two types of Brachio. We shorten it to Brachio because we shorten all names. So Brachiosaurus, we just take off the saurus, and it's now a Brachio. So Brachio can either be normal, it's a wild or tame dino variant, or the mutated Brachio, the product of two tame Brachio plus a gene computer when mating. Alright, so of course Brachio is an Animalia kingdom, reptilian group, hasn't changed that much, but its class is sauropod and its family is tall sauropods, so these are sauropods, once again, that have vertical extending necks. Titanosaurus, Dreadnoughtus, Brachiosaurus, all tall sauropods. Of course, its stat block is a little bit different as compared to Ark Survival Ascended. And we've increased its health to 4,000, decreased its stamina to 250 from 300. Food and water has been increased to 15,000 per each instead of 10,000 per each. Weight is downgraded a little bit to 2,500 instead of 3,000. And the melee for the tail whip has been decreased to 100, but the damage for the Mega Stomp is the same as the X says. So the X means that the damage is still 125, but the difference is that the 110 has changed. Swimming speed has not changed, but the torpor has been decreased from 2,500 to 2,000, and it has a fortitude of 7, meaning not a lot of things can knock this thing back. Alright, additional traits for the Brachio in Dino World. It has a quick stomp that adds the Mega Stomp buffs that we talked about in the potential add-ons, adds extra knockback, deals massive damage, and times 5 damage to structures. So instead of structures breaking in one hit, I think it should just do times 5 damage to structures. So it does this basically the same thing. It also has the intimidation buff increasement. The only thing we're doing instead of having an insta-kill for structures and having times 5 is I don't want that 30-second cooldown. So times 5 damage to structures instead of having that 30-second cooldown. And of course it has a neck saddle. So the Brachio saddle allows riders to climb up its neck to reach higher places without the risk of falling off. Riders cannot ride on its head though. So basically it has a saddle right here, but riders can use the saddle to climb up to its head to get up here. Let's say you're at a cliffside and the Brachio's head reaches above the cliffside. You can use the neck saddle to travel up the neck and to get onto that cliff. Of course you can't ride the Brachio on its head or on its neck, but you can use the saddle to walk up its neck. So it does add a little bit of extra mobility for a player that has a Brachio for cliff climbing. And of course it has an ability Earthquake. Quake Stomp causes a massive tremor that shakes the land and triggers temporary faults in the land, similar to the Jurassic Park 1 movie where it gets on its hind legs and then slams down, creating a massive tremor earthquake style attack. Of course we have spawn rates as well. Blue is guaranteed, green is very likely, yellow is few to likely, orange is rare, red is very rare, and purple is dead. Of course this is the main island of Europa. And the biomes that you'll most likely find them in is the central grasslands in green, as you can see. These are the central plains area, central grasslands, and the southern jungle area. So you can find them in this yellow area right here. You can also find them in this yellow southern southeast jungle island as well. But if you want to find them in the grassland, find them very likely. They're very likely going to be in the Central Plains area, but they are still few to likely to be found in the southern jungle and southern jungle islands. So yeah, that's going to be the end of this video. Thank you guys so much for watching. Like if you like, dislike if you don't, subscribe if you like it, comment down below your thoughts about Ark Survival Ascended and Dino World, as well as just, how's your day been? As always, have a blessed day as always, and of course, toodaloo!